In a small snowy village, a group of excited children, Sophie, Liam, Mia, and Ethan, gather at the town square on Christmas Eve. The snowflakes danced in the air like little fairies, adding an extra sparkle to the festive night. They've heard a magical rumor. Santa Claus is coming to throw a special party. "Oh, I hope he brings his reindeer," exclaimed Sophie, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. "I want to see if Rudolph's nose really glows red," added Liam, bouncing on his toes with excitement. Mia, who was always thoughtful, clutched a beautifully wrapped gift in her hands. "I made something special for him," she whispered, her voice filled with pride. Ethan, the curious one, looked up at the twinkling stars. "Do you think Santa will come from the North or South Pole?" he pondered aloud. As they chatted, the village square was transformed. Gigantic candy canes lined the pathways, a fountain gushed peppermint water, and from somewhere, the delightful sound of jingle bells filled the air. Each corner of the square held a surprise, from rainbow-colored gumdrops to towering snowmen who tipped their hats as you walked by. Suddenly, a deep ho 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 echoed across the square, causing the children to whirl around in delight. There, in a sleigh as red as poppy petals, sat Santa Claus himself, with a merry twinkle in his eye and a grin as wide as a Christmas stocking. "Welcome, my friends," boomed Santa, waving his hand cheerfully. "Tonight, we have games, gingerbread houses to decorate, and snow whispers to listen to." The children gasped in awe. Snow whispers. Everyone in the village knew that meant listening to the stories of snowflakes as they fell. Excitement bubbled as they joined the festivities. Sophie crafted a gingerbread house with gumdrop rooftops. Liam tested out a sleigh ride. Mia proudly handed Santa her homemade scarf, and Ethan, with curious ears, listened to the snow whispers, his mind filled with wonder. The night was a whirl of joy and laughter, topped off by Santa's promise that he'd be back next year with even more magical surprises. As the party ended and the children headed home, they knew this was a Christmas Eve they would never forget, filled with wonders and joys that would twinkle in their hearts like the stars above. In the heart of the bustling little town of Evergreen, the townspeople gathered around the giant Christmas tree every year to see it light up the night sky. This year, however, was extra special. As the adults chatted and the children played in the frosty air, little Mia and her friends discovered something unexpected. "Look at that!" exclaimed Mia, pointing at several shimmering envelopes that hung like golden fruit from the lower branches of the magnificent tree. The children rushed over and, with some help from taller friends, carefully pulled the envelopes down. Each one glittered under the twinkling lights and was addressed simply to the children of Evergreen. Opening one with trembling hands, Mia read aloud, "Dear children of Evergreen, you are invited to a special gathering. Please meet me at the old barn at 6 p.m. sharp. Yours truly, Santa Claus." The group of friends couldn't believe their eyes or their luck. They clutched their invitations close and ran home to tell their families the thrilling news. Parents, amused and curious themselves, helped their children prepare for the mysterious meeting. As the clock in the town square chimed 6 times, a procession of excited kids, bundled in scarves and mittens, made their way over to the old wooden barn, which stood at the edge of town. The moonlight glistened on the snowy path as the barn came into view, its large doors slightly ajar, casting a warm, inviting glow beyond its entrance. The children entered with thrilled anticipation, finding the inside transformed into a magical wonderland with twinkling lights, colorful decorations, and a cozy fireplace crackling merrily away. There, true to his promise, stood the jolly man himself, Santa Claus, with a smile as bright as the Christmas star. Santa greeted each child with a hearty ho, 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 and gathered them around. "Thank you for coming, my dear friends," he began. "Tonight, you all are part of something special. For you've helped me make this place a magical part of Christmas, where dreams come true, and where a little kindness goes a long way. The barn was filled with laughter, stories shared, and new friendships formed. The children of Evergreen carried these memories home, cherishing the magical night that Santa had made just for them. It was a night they would never forget, a night where they learned that magic, love, and joy could be found right at the heart of their little town. Once upon a time, in the quiet village of Merriam, stood old Farmer Thompson's barn. Most days it looked like any other barn, with weathered wood and a squeaky old door. But every year, come December, something extraordinary happened. As winter break began, the village children eagerly awaited their annual trip to the farm. Emily, Timmy, and Lucy were the most excited of all, their imaginations running wild with stories of what they might find. "Do you think we'll meet real elves this time?" asked little Lucy, her eyes wide with wonder. On the much-anticipated day, the children bundled up in their warmest coats and scarves and set off, their giggles trailing behind them like a melody of joy. Tiny snowflakes danced in the air as they approached the barn, and to their delight, the old wooden facade began to shimmer. To the children's amazement, the barn transformed before their eyes into a winter wonderland. Twinkling lights wrapped around the tall beams like golden ribbons, while candy canes as tall as Timmy lined the entrance. Giant stockings hung from the rafters, filled with mysterious gifts waiting to be opened. "Look at that sleigh," Timmy shouted, pointing to the sleigh parked outside. Its bells jingled softly, and sprinkled snowflakes around it sparkled like tiny stars. Inside, they found a magical world far beyond their wildest dreams. Snow-covered hills made for perfect sledding, and ice sculptures of fairy tale creatures beckoned them into an enchanted realm. The children skated, laughed, and feasted on sweets plucked right from candy cane trees. As the day came to a close, the barn's magic began to fade, the twinkling lights dimming and the decorations melting away like a daydream. But the memory of this magical place stayed with Emily, Timmy, and Lucy all year long. Every time they passed old Farmer Thompson's barn, they would share a secret smile, knowing they had witnessed something truly magical. Once upon a time in the cozy town of Frostville, it was the night before Christmas. The snow had tucked the streets under a fluffy white blanket, and twinkling lights danced on the houses like fireflies in the night. Children everywhere were full of excitement as they nestled in their beds, knowing that soon Santa would visit with his jolly ho, ho, ho. In the center of Frostville, a grand celebration was underway. At the town square, just under the gigantic star-topped Christmas tree, families gathered in anticipation. The clock tower chimed in the background, adding to the holiday magic. The air was filled with laughter, the smell of hot cocoa, and the promise of Santa's arrival. Suddenly, a hush fell over the crowd as they heard the distant sound of jingling bells. All eyes turned towards the sky, hearts beating with wonder. There he was, with his reindeer dashing through the starry sky. The grand silhouette of Santa Claus led the way. The sleigh glided through the air, gracefully slowing as it approached the snow-covered ground. With a cheerful ho, 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 Santa appeared, stepping out of the sleigh with a flourish. His red suit was brighter than the Christmas lights, and his sack of gifts was plump and full. He waved with a twinkle in his eye, and the children's cheers filled the air like music. The children ran to greet him, their faces glowing with joy and wonder. "Santa! Santa!" they called excitedly, circling him like the festive garlands that adorned the square. Santa's heart swelled with happiness as he listened to their giggles and shared secrets. He reached into his sack, pulling out gifts and handing them to each child, acknowledging their year of good deeds and kindness. Santa's grand entrance was everything the children had wished for, creating memories that would shine in their hearts forever. As the night wore on, Santa climbed back onto his sleigh, waving to the townsfolk of Frostville. "Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night," he proclaimed. Santa disappeared into the winter sky, leaving a trail of magic that sparkled long after he'd gone. Once upon a time, in a sparkling land of the North Pole, Santa Claus himself gathered a group of children around a warm, crackling fire. The smell of cinnamon and pine filled the air as the little ones sat on cushions, their cheeks rosy from the cold winter air outside. In their hands were mugs of steaming hot cocoa topped with fluffy marshmallows, a perfect treat for a story night. "Are you all ready for a magical story?" Santa asked with a twinkle in his eye. The children nodded eagerly, their eyes wide with anticipation. "Well," Santa began, "let me tell you about the time I had to deliver presents to a town where the snow was so deep that even my trusty reindeer struggled." The children gasped, leaning in closer. It was Christmas Eve, and it had been snowing all day. The powdery snow covered the rooftops and roads so much that it looked like one of Mrs. Claus's fluffy frosted cakes. But snow or no snow, presents needed to be delivered. Santa continued. Up we flew into the sky. Dasher and Dancer, Prancer and Vixen, Comet and Cupid, Donder and Blitzen, and of course Rudolph, led the way with his shiny red nose lighting up the night. The children giggled as they imagined the scene, their fingertips sticky with cocoa. The wind whispered secrets in our ears, and the stars twinkled like a million tiny lanterns guiding us. But just as we approached the town, whoosh, a whooping wind blew in, swirling the snow into a flurry of white. "Oh no! What happened next?" a little girl asked, clutching her teddy bear. "Well," Santa said with a chuckle, "Rudolph bravely pushed through, guiding us with his gleaming nose. We landed softly on the rooftop, but getting down the chimney was a trick." He winked. With a bit of wiggling, I twisted and turned until I was in front of a cozy fireplace inside. The children giggled again, imagining Santa squirming through a narrow chimney. Once inside, I tiptoed around, placing gifts under the twinkling tree and filling stockings hung with care. The magic of Christmas filled the air, wrapping every child in dreams of joy. And that's how, despite snowy challenges, Christmas magic was delivered to every child, Santa said, smiling warmly. The children applauded, finishing their cocoa with happy sighs, their hearts full of stories and wonder. As they prepared to leave, Santa added, "Remember, my little friends, sometimes the greatest adventures come from challenges. Keep believing in magic, and it will always find you." And with that, Santa waved them a jolly goodbye. In the snowy town of Wintervale, nestled among towering evergreen trees, the children were buzzing with excitement at the grand town hall. It was the annual gift exchange, where Santa himself arrived to spread joy among the little ones. The hall was festively decorated with twinkling lights, shimmering baubles, and an enormous pine tree that touched the sky. As the children gathered around a crackling fireplace, eagerly awaiting their turn, Santa began his magical routine. "Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas, little ones," he chuckled, as he opened his gargantuan, red velvet sack full of marvels. First, he called out Sophie, a quiet girl with a heart full of dreams. Sophie was known for her love of painting. Santa handed her a beautifully bound sketchbook, its pages crisp and inviting. Sophie's eyes sparkled with delight, envisioning the worlds she would create within. Next came Liam, an adventurous boy with a curious mind, forever looking up, wondering about the stars above. To his thrill, Santa presented him with a sleek black telescope. "Oh, wow!" exclaimed Liam, excited to embark on new celestial discoveries right from his backyard. Then there was Mia, a little girl with a cascade of laughter as bright as her golden curls. Santa gave her a dollhouse, complete with tiny furniture and figurines. "This is just like the house I've dreamt of," Mia beamed, her imagination already painting stories for her new friends. Finally, came Ethan, a boy with a boundless love for motion and machinery. When Santa revealed the gleaming train set, Ethan's mouth dropped open. The sight of the intricately detailed train made his heart race, thinking of the adventures it would travel across imaginary lands. As Santa handed out each gift, he reminded the children of the spirit of giving and sharing. He urged them to cherish not just what was received, but also the joy it brought to others. The children sat, their hearts full of warmth and joy, having witnessed the kindness and thoughtfulness in each carefully chosen present. And so, as snow began to drift lazily past the tall windows, the children whispered dreams to their gifts, their imaginations already unfurling like tender blossoms in spring. It was a night of magic and dreams come true, and the little town of Wintervale glistened a little brighter that Christmas Eve. Once upon a time, in a cozy winter wonderland, Santa Claus had a delightful surprise in store for a group of lucky children. The snow was glistening under the bright blue sky as Santa, with his jolly laughter and twinkling eyes, gathered the eager children around him. He had a secret he was bursting to share. Ho, ho, ho! Santa chuckled heartily. I have some very special friends waiting just outside. Would you like to meet them? The children gasped with excitement, their eyes wide and sparkling with curiosity. Santa swung open the grand doors, revealing his elegant team of reindeer. There they stood, majestic with antlers proud and fur warm like a cozy blanket. Meet Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, and Blitzen. Santa introduced each reindeer. Finally, the most famous of all, and, of course, Rudolph with his very shiny nose. The children squealed with delight, bundling into their coats and rushing outside to greet the new friends. Each child had a carrot in hand, ready to offer as a snack. The reindeer, gentle and playful, accepted the treats with gracious nods. Rudolph, with his nose aglow, nudged a little girl named Emily, making her giggle uncontrollably. They like you, Santa said with a wink, watching the children bond with his beloved reindeer. Comet trotted over to a boy named Max, who bravely petted his nose, while Vixen performed a merry dance, causing everyone to join in laughter. As the reindeer pranced around the snowy yard, the children were filled with joy, their laughter mingling with the jingling bells of Santa's sleigh. It was a day they would always remember, marked by the warmth of friendship and the magic of meeting Santa's reindeer. Just as the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the snow, Santa called his reindeer back. It's time to rest now, my friends, he announced softly. With a final wave, Santa and his reindeer disappeared into the snowy night, leaving behind a trail of magic and a promise to return. The children, still glowing with happiness, knew that they had taken part in something truly special, a reindeer game they would never forget. One cold winter's night, right outside the bustling town of Jingleville, a quaint barn stood silently under the twinkling stars. The barn belonged to Santa and his reindeer, a place where magic was not just a possibility, but a certainty. Inside the barn, the air was filled with laughter and cheers from children visiting from the town. Santa, with his long white beard and twinkling eyes, stood at the center with a mischievous grin. Who wants to see a little magic? He called out, and all hands shot up instantly. With a twinkle in his eye, Santa raised his rosy red mitten and gave a gentle wave. Suddenly, as if by magic, the ceiling of the barn disappeared, revealing the night sky, and snowflakes began to gently float down inside the barn. Each snowflake was unique, glistening as if kissed by the stars, shimmering with moonlit sparkles. The snow danced and twirled in the air before finally pirouetting onto the ground, transforming the barn into a winter wonderland. The children, eyes wide with wonder and delight, began to dance and play amongst the snowflakes. Ella, the tiniest of them all, caught a snowflake on her tongue and giggled as it melted with a soft tingle. It tastes like peppermint, she exclaimed with glee. Tommy and Rosie tried it too, promising each other that each snowflake tasted like a new secret, a sprinkle of marshmallows, or the frosty bite of a sweet candy cane. The whole barn was alive with joy and enchantment. Only in Santa's barn could the children find such magical snow, a snowfall that wasn't cold, but warm and inviting. It was no ordinary snowfall, it was a magical snowfall, cared for by Santa himself. When the night began to grow long, and the children started to feel sleepy, Santa gently waved his hand again. The snowflakes lifted gently up, back into the stardust, leaving behind only precious memories and a few untouched fluffs of magical snow on the ground. "Thank you, Santa," the sleepy children chorused as their parents arrived to take them home. As the barn's roof reappeared with another sweeping gesture, Santa chuckled, "Good night, my little snowflakes, until next time." The barn returned to its quiet state, holding in its warmth the magic of the evening, ready to create new memories when the children returned once again. Once upon a time, in the magical town of North Poleville, the air was filled with excitement as Christmas drew near. The children chattered with anticipation, hanging colorful stockings and rehearsing their carols for Santa's grand arrival. In a cozy little house, young Timmy and his sister Lucy could barely contain their excitement. Each year, Santa would bring them delightful gifts and fill their hearts with warmth and happiness. Finally, the night before Christmas arrived, and the sky gleamed with stars. Timmy and Lucy, wrapped in their fluffy pajamas, gazed out of their frosty window, hoping to catch a glimpse of Santa's sleigh. As the clock ticked closer to midnight, a jingle echoed in the distance, followed by the sight of reindeers soaring through the sky. "He's here! Santa's here!" Lucy exclaimed, gripping her brother's hand tightly. Santa's sleigh landed gracefully on their roof, and with a magical twinkle, Santa appeared in their living room, his cheeks rosy and eyes twinkling like stars. "Ho, ho, ho!" Santa chuckled, opening his bag to reveal a treasure trove of presents. As soon as Santa placed the gifts under the shimmering tree, the children rushed to embrace him. "Thank you, Santa," they chimed together, their eyes sparkling with gratitude. After spreading joy and laughter, it was time for Santa to return to his journey. As the clock struck midnight, Santa gently climbed back into his sleigh. He gave a merry wave to Timmy and Lucy, promising to visit again next year. The children waved back, their hearts full of joy and wonder. "Goodbye, Santa," they called, watching as his sleigh disappeared into the night sky. Back inside, with their hearts full and their minds dreaming of adventure, Timmy and Lucy knew they had something special to hold dear, a precious memory that would light up their hearts until the next magical Christmas Eve. And so, in the spirit of the festive season, they promised to cherish the magic of kindness and love all year long, knowing that Santa would always find his way back to North Poleville. On Christmas morning, after a dreamy night filled with wonder, 3 siblings, Lily, Jake, and Emma, woke up with excitement. Wrapped in warm pajamas, they raced down the stairs. As they reached the living room, their eyes widened in surprise. Under the glittering Christmas tree lay an extra special gift, a round ornament, radiant and glowing with a magical light. "Look," Lily pointed, her voice filled with glee. Jake picked up the ornament, feeling its warmth. Engraved on it were the words, "Never stop believing in magic." Emma gasped in delight. "It's from Santa," she exclaimed. The ornament whispered stories of snowy nights and Santa's laughter, wrapping them in a comforting hug from the North Pole. "Santa wants us to remember the magic forever," whispered Lily, her heart swelling with joy. Jake nodded, grinning. "And we will," he declared, determined to cherish the moment. Emma clapped joyfully, knowing this was a Christmas they'd always remember. Every Christmas morning, they gathered around the tree, hearts aglow with warmth and faith in the season. With a special ornament hung among the branches, They promised to carry the spirit of Christmas magic and belief throughout the year.